Thank you so much for staying tuned and watching Smart24 TV. Remember, we are live on our YouTube live stream at Smart24 TV and on our channels on GOTV and DSTV. And the conversation today is on national budgets. And we are talking the National Budget Framework paper that was actually tabled in Parliament in December last year. But we are picking out a few things that, of course, we can pick as lessons and also what we can do to improve on our budgeting. And I'm joined by none other than Mr. Rubanga Kene Patrick and Miss Miriam Akibro. We are discussing this budget in terms of what it has for value for the layman out there, for the farmer, for the employee out there, what you should expect out of this budget. I'll come to Mr. Patrick here. Let's look back to 2022-2023. In your view, as CS BAG, are you seeing some things that have been actually achieved? And we can say, hey, we can commend government for this so far, at least for in as far as 2022-2023 budget is concerned.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. If you are to look at how we are progressing as a country when it comes to implementing the current budget, financial 22-23, we must say the start wasn't smooth. I think most of us can attest that in Q1, I think most local governments and also the entities, the other ministries, departments, and agencies suffered a lot because there were austerity measures that were put in place by the Ministry of Finance. And the debate was they were controlling inflation. So as such, their budget releases in the first quarter was not as what was planned by government. Money was released, but not to the tune to what was planned for, with the justification that they are managing inflation, which was running away. So in one way or the other, it affected service delivery. When we progress to Q2, now Q2 puts us at a stage where we are reaching half year in terms of implementation, because in a financial we have a total of 4 quarters. So by Q2, you could see some change. And if you look at the most recent release that the Ministry of Finance had, I think there was a release that was done, I think, a week or so ago. And what the ministry presented in terms of releases of the 48 trillion budget, the Ministry of Finance, their press release says a total of 52.7% of this budget has already been released. And also the monies for the development expenditures for the local governments have been released at 100%, which to us is something which is good because local governments have been suffering. The development budget comes in a little late. And that means as the financial year comes to a close, money is returned to the consolidated fund. And that means the common person has not benefited. So when we are saying monies for the development expenditure being released fully by Q3, to us we see it's something which is good. But now the question remains, will this money really be put to use to achieve what was planned? Because there is releasing, but now the actual implementation becomes a challenge. And now that's
also you already did quite well. I seen in the report it says that we have about 37.43 billion extra or surplus actually that was collected.
Yeah.
So the taxpayer is doing well.
Yeah, the taxpayers are doing well and they're giving your a surplus. Now, this brings in the issue of accountability. What is the money doing? Because it's good for us to say, yes, URA collected a surplus and the Ministry of Finance has released monies all, but is that money delivering on what it's supposed to deliver on? Now, that's the question. The surplus is there, but the monies have been released. Are we now delivering the services, the social services that Ugandans need? Because if that is not done, then whatever we are doing wouldn't make sense to a taxpayer. They'll become demotivated even to pay tax in the next cycle because, like, what has this money done? So it's something which is critical, budget performance. And that's something that we need to monitor routinely. And I must say, as CS back, we have been doing that. We have been engaging different communities and even mobilizing other CSO actors to monitor the budget, because it's through monitoring the budget that we get to identify some of these challenges early enough and seek for corrective actions. Again, in terms of performance, because we're looking at what has been done so far, we must commend the Ministry of Finance for paying all the domestic carriers. Because in this current budget 22-23, a total of 661 billion shillings were marked to pay arrears. But if you look at the most recent statement from the ministry, you see a total of close to 743. That means they paid way above what they had planned for. So, which to me, it's good for the economy, because we have so many actors that do business with government and their businesses have been limping. COVID came in, struck them so badly. Then they also supplied government, and government had not paid them. So when government comes out to pay these suppliers, to me, is something which is positive, and that means the ministry is now talking the talk. So we don't want to see again MDAs contract more arrears. Let's prioritize in paying the domestic arrears so that our companies can pick up, because we're in a period of recovery and these companies are so critical. We don't want to see them collapse. Some of the key positives that we are seeing government taking in this current financial year, we're seeing government going now towards everything to be electronic. We are seeing systems that are being piloted and tested. We have the human capital management systems, which are being piloted in some local governments. We have the e-procurement systems, which are also coming on board. We have the e-government, because most of government businesses are going now electronic, which to us as civil society, we see it as one of the measures that will also help us reduce on some of the costs. Because one
that's going to succeed. We've seen many programs, the Youth Livelihood Program, the Ndandikwa, so many in the past. But this time putting emphasis on the parish development model, all the way from the president. 100 million being released every financial year for every parish in Uganda. And that is coming in 25 million every quarter. Do you think this is going to be sustainable? In your view, especially now you is coming from the food security point of view. When we talk about food security, we're also talking about the farmers who are the target for actually this program. The price development model is basically looking at that peasant farmer in Soroti, in Rukunjiri, in Gulu, and seeing that they get into the money economy. Do you think this is the best way that actually we are going to support our farmers?
Thank you so much, Anthony. The parish development model is a program, is a strategy that I call upon all Ugandans to embrace. I am a promoter of the parish development model, and I want to tell you the districts that I have hands on, like Yumbe and Adjumani, were recently announced by Honorable Raphael Majezi, Minister for Local Government, as model districts for the parish development model. I work with the parish chiefs, I work with the religious and traditional leaders in the communities in the 2 sub-counties for each of those districts with the highest rate of stunting for children under 5. All we need to do for the parish development model is to popularize it. I am only worried that under the 2023-2024 budget, that the pillar for mindset change in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development is actually receiving a cut. So we need to continue creating awareness of these very good government interventions. And the reason that I like the parish development model and call everybody to embrace it and continue to educate people is that it's going to take money to the typical grassroots people. If the people are closely monitored and the parish chiefs are held accountable, we are going to increase the cash flow in households, and that is a social protection mechanism. We will see more children going to school. We will see even domestic violence reducing, because sometimes domestic violence is caused by poverty. You know, my child is sick, you're saying you're the man and you cannot help me take that, then those are the challenges. With the parish development model, both women and men having access to income, they will be able to hire land. In some communities, you hire land for a year at 100,000, some at 50, you can hire for a season and they'll be able to have food. So the parish development model is a local economic development mechanism. And all we need to see is continued popularization and also ensuring that people are not just thinking about the 25 million, the 17 million, the 100 million. What is it that money is going to do to transform the lives of the typical grassroots people? What are the parish chiefs doing to ensure that they receive? So then we get back to retooling them. Do they have the fuel to monitor the groups? Do they have the resources?
Talking about, there was an issue in the media actually.
Yes.
When this entire program was being unveiled,
Yes,
about
please.
misappropriation.
Yeah.
Not necessarily embezzlement, but misappropriation of these funds that were meant to be actually given to circles of organized farmers, for example, and were used for workshops. And the parish chiefs, like you're mentioning, and the parish development committee and so on, they were saying, no, we thought this money was actually going to also facilitate our meetings, facilitate our trainings. And government was saying, no, actually, these are supposed to be monies given to the circles directly. Isn't there a mismatch in the aims of government and what's happening on the ground?
So, it's sometimes people just misunderstand processes, even when they understand. So what needed to have been done was to be deliberate in starting with the mindset change, And also, if you want close monitoring and accountability for this money, then you have to provide a budget for monitoring, for joint monitoring. The parish chief must have fuel that is separate from the money that is supposed to go directly to the people. I'll speak to you as a budget holder. I run a big budget for this project that is funded by the Dutch government, implemented in refugee host communities. But I have a separate budget for fuel, for per diem, and other things, and separate budget for program activities. So it doesn't mess up the achievement of the outcomes.
Right.
So that lack of budget for overheads, let me call it overheads, will cause a parish chief who is struggling to touch the money that is supposed to go to a group. Instead of a group receiving 17 million, they might end up receiving 14 million. So it's a reality. And some of these villages and parishes are hard to reach. So I think, but I'm happy that the Ministry of Local Government, together with the district local government and the lower local governments, are working hard to mitigate these challenges. And I think the apprehension of some people is teaching others that this money is deliberate.
But now the mindset change, like you said, the next budget has been cut.
Exactly.
Are we expecting less of these misappropriations?
That is the challenge, but I want to think that the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, together with other MDAs, will probably bring the non-state actors. Civil society is a non-state actor, private sector is a non-state actor. We complement government, and I'm happy to let you know that Action Against Hunger is actually secretariat for the CSO's consortium for the support and efficient implementation of the parish development model. And we're going to take that leadership to mobilize the non-state actors to ensure that we popularize and see the parish development model achieve its aspirations for Ugandans, because the parish development model is at the heart of Action Against Hunger, because it will end hunger.
Sure.
And civil society budget group, Food Rights Alliance, Institute for Social Transformation are part of the consortium partners, and we're open to welcoming other non-state actors so that we support government to address those gaps. You'll also notice that other ministries are supposed to contribute to those pillars, and there is no clear budget allocation. So the way to address that gap is working together with the non-state actors, both international and national and UN agencies, to ensure that we achieve the aspirations for the parish development model, and also our populace understanding that it's not a thank you vote, but it's a real government program and strategy.
Wow,
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Ms. Miriam. We're going to take another quick break. When we return, Mr. Patrick, budget cuts. We have budget cuts almost on everything. I've tried to look at the sub-programs in the framework, and trust me, we only have, I think, the Ministry of Education, which is changing from 3.9 trillion to over 4.5 trillion. Security is going down from 4.9 to 4.6, much as it's being the highest funded sub-program. You're looking at gender, labor, employment services from over 436 billion to about 322 billion. Tourism losing over 89.2 billion. Are these budget cuts justifiable? Are there justifications for us to have these budget cuts? My friend, we are talking the national budget, and I am with, of course, Mr. Patrick from CFBAG, or Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, and Miss Miriam from the Action Against Hunger for Uganda. And so you're going to hear more of those views on the budget cuts that are currently being registered in the budget framework for the year 2023-2024. My name is Anthony. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.